Okay. Thank you so much, Daniel, and thank you so much for the remote team for inviting me here. It's my first time, and I'm really glad to share my passion with you. And being a professional scientist, I'm going to make a very unusual promise to you. I promise if you listen carefully to me now, you will become even richer than you are. So listen to me. And this is a real promise. Okay, so who am I to listen to me and why I'm telling you you're going to be rich? So I'm a professional astronomer. So I work at the Carnegie Las Campanas Observatory in Chile. So these are our telescopes. I studied in Germany. I got my PhD in Munich University. And then I moved to Chile because Chile is the best country for astronomy. It has the best skies in the world. And this was obvious to come here for me to start doing my real job. At the same time, I would like to clarify a little bit here. I'm an astronomer. I'm not an astrologer. Because typically when people ask or being asked about astronomy, they ask like, oh, here's my hand. Can you tell me something about my future? I'm saying, no, I'm sorry, guys. I'm an astronomer. And this is the difference. You can read what's the difference. Astronomy is actually a study, a real science when we study something, while astrology is a belief. I'm not saying you should believe or not, but this is just a belief. It's two fundamentally different things, all right? So, since this thing is settled, let's move on. Right, so this is one part of my life, but there is a second part of my life. So this is where it's getting rich part. So at the same time, I'm an astrotourism consultant and I run my own business. So we conduct expeditions, astronomical and photographical expeditions all around the world. Like in this case, you can see the images from Bolivian Altiplano. So essentially, I take people to the desert, we are going to the mountains, and people enjoy looking at the stars, at this kind of absolutely sometimes extreme environment, but at the same time, so beautiful ones. So in this presentation, we'll be talking about a few things. So first, you will learn what is astrotourism, why you really what's the definition. Now, I will answer your second question, why should you care about astrotourism? Because we say maybe it's not important, but you will see it is. So then you will also learn what astrotourism can do for you. And then, of course, we will conclude the presentation with emphasizing the importance of keeping the sky dark and why it is important. Now, the standard definition of the astrotourism is a travel niche which focuses on experiencing the night sky, the celestial events and various astronomical phenomena. For example, like this, where you see the stars here, we observe the eclipses, we can see through the telescopes various galaxies and astronomical objects. And of course, one of the most famous objects for the astrotourism is Aurora Borealis, or the Northern Lights. So if we are talking about Northern Hemisphere, it's called Aurora Borealis. If you're looking in the south, it's Aurora Australis. Right, so because this is one of the most beautiful events and people are going crazy about this and people know astrotourism precisely for this. And here I would like quickly answer the question. Because all of you know, especially who are from Europe, from the United States, to see this kind of lights, people usually travel to the north, like to Canada, Iceland, Norway, and so on. And why people don't do the same thing in Chile? You will never see any agency advertising like Aurora Australis Borealis here in Chile. Why not? Are we missing something? So yes, we are missing something. This is simply physics. I will explain. So unfortunately, well, as you know, those phenomena happens in the region which is called like aurora oval, which is centered around the magnetic pole of the Earth. So there is a north magnetic pole, a south magnetic pole. And unfortunately in Chile, the southern magnetic pole is shifted towards Australia. You see the distance, like 2,500 kilometers from the pole to Australia and almost 7,000 to Chile. So naturally, when the things is happening on the sky, we don't really see it even from the south of Chile. So that's the reason. So if you start thinking about this business here, sorry, that's not going to work. You should still go to Iceland, Canada, and Norway, and so on. So, but or Australia, if you want to see in the South, Australia, New Zealand. It's another success story. Plus, of course, we definitely need the dark sky. Because when people want to see stars, most of the people, of course, they just they have some luck when they travel outside of the big cities, but you definitely need a clear sky to see the stars. I would like to mention here that when we talk about astronomy, of course, we are not only talking just about Atacama Desert or the places like Hawaii, when you definitely know it's going to be clear sky. You can actually see lots of beautiful images taken from all around the world. Basically, we need two conditions to observe something like this. You need a clear sky and you need absence of light pollution. That's it. Nothing else. It doesn't matter when you're in Atacama Desert or somewhere in the middle of Mojave Desert or in Canary Islands, whatever. Now, astrotourism itself includes lots of activities. I'm going to just put them here on the screen, and you will see what it is. It's included like a stargazing tours, like a dinner under the stars, visiting observatories, a bunch of things which can be done as a part of astrotourism. And of course, all those experiences are extremely beautiful. These are my images which have been taken over the years, so in various places around the world. So it's a fascinating experience, absolutely fascinating experience. But still the question is, why should you care? Okay, it's all beautiful, but how it can bring you into the game? I will give you 4 reasons, just to understand why you should care about this. The first reason is probably the biggest one, is the money. So I believe most of you here because of the money, right? So you're making money. Now, the annual budget of astrotourism, for example, in one given country like in New Zealand, it's about $200 million per year, just astrotourism, and its associated activities, okay? In Chile, I'm talking the projection about Chile, the professional estimations give the number about between 100 to 150 million US dollars per year. So if you're not taking advantage of this market, you're losing a lot. So be the first or the second who is to jump and try to do something, because this is a really big piece of the pie. Now, the second reason why it's important, because people want to see stars. We did numerous studies across the years. The Chilean government in 2015, they actually did, it was a governmental program, they did a study just to understand the interest of people to astronomy. And as we know now, especially in my younger generation from 25 to 40 years old, these guys, they want to see stars. They want to travel to some location, doesn't matter where, but as long as they see there is a possibility to see stars, yes, they want to go. And this is the second reason why you should care. Now, the third reason, very unusual, astrophotography is the king. So, with Instagram, Facebook, people want to share stuff. They want to be unique. And everybody is sick of, this picture of, people in front of, let's say, go to some waterfall, like, let's say, beautiful Iguazu. It's an amazing place. You see millions of pictures in front of, the waterfall. But how many people actually take a picture like this? This picture was taken with our clients in the Salar de Uyuni in Bolivia. You see, people, when see something like this, they go completely ballistic. It goes viral. They go into all their friends and they say, look, and the friends don't have anything like this. This is absolutely unique stuff, right? Oh, sorry. Now, the reason number 4, smartphone astrophotography. It was much, much more difficult to take pictures at night in the past, but now, like in the past couple of years, the smartphones are becoming so powerful, people don't need a sophisticated camera anymore. You take your cell phone, put it on a tripod, bang, it's almost done. So essentially, and this again, it creates a huge market now. So young, especially generation, the smartphones, they can do it easily. So there are 4 factors why you should care now. You see, it's a really amazing opportunity. Now I'll answer the second question. So what it now can do for you, the astrotourism. So there are actually 3 reasons again I'm getting here. So first of all, it's going to give you high value, low impact tourism. I will explain every point here. It will just reveal for you new opportunities for earning the money. So it will create new revenue streams, and it will create a competitive differentiations between, for example, your property, your agency, and your competitors. Well, it's not unnecessary. We should not compete. But you should compete as well, of course. Now, the first reason is, so astrotourism tends to attract eco-conscious, this is important now, all about eco-tourism right now, higher spending travelers. So what it means is people with money now, they tend to go to places, to dark places where there is option of stargazing. And not only that, according to the Chilean government, they also did study, we talked just this morning, saying that people who go on the topic of astrotourism, they typically, when they travel to the country, they stay longer. They stay much longer at the location, at certain hotel, at certain places. For example, the typical traveling time from general audience would be like 7 days in given location. If they go for astrotourism purpose, it almost doubles. So they spend way more time. So there is another way to explain it, but I'm just giving you the facts here. Now, when it comes to luxury tourism, I'm pretty sure all of you guys here, hotels, travel designers, you work with high-end public here, okay? And this is very important. So what do we learn, what I learned when you work with this kind of public? So these people, they've seen everything in their life. They can afford anything you want. They've seen pretty much every single place. They are always looking for new opportunities, for something new which has not been done. They have never seen anything before like this. astronomy give you absolutely unique perspective. Look at this, for example, like this is a young couple just went for the engagement trip. So they are stargazing under the stars. I'm not even talking about options like they're proposing under the stars or anything. It's anything connected to the stars completely give you an edge here. Just you can offer something which has not been done before. And again, this market is so new. You won't see much of a pictures like this anywhere in the world now. They simply do not exist. Most of the people just go in some kind of big hotels and they don't get anything like this. Now, how does it really work? As I said, when people travel all around the world, they've seen everything. So do you think like astrophotography can beat it, or astronomy experience? And I think from my experience, yes, it does. For example, here there's a photography of a group of our clients in Atacama Desert. I mean, of course, the faces are blurred for the privacy reasons. But the thing is, this is a real picture. So those people are like, this is your audience. So we go to the desert, we take pictures like this, we talk about astronomy, and people, the wow factor is just, you cannot believe this. Like for me, for instance, this is my life, this is my work, and I kind of say, oh yeah, that's nice, stars. But when I see faces of those people, they're like, wow. And you know what happens then? So when they come from Atacama Desert with this kind of pictures, and all this guy, they show to their friends like, oh, no way, like really? And this is the thing. So imagine this, somebody say, oh, I went to Fiji, yeah, right. I went there 5 years ago, so whatever. But astronomy, they say, and this is unique stuff. And now they can kind of showcase and look, I've been there, I've done this, I've seen it, and this is the proof. And this goes ballistic. Again, from my experience, it's absolutely incredible. So, another opportunity, for instance, like a glamping here, what we do, like for example, camps here, or like a weddings under the stars and stuff like this. It's absolutely unique market which does exist, and it's going up and up and up. Right, so I will give you one example. For example, I have a friends of mine who are in the United States, northwestern United States. They used to have like a ranch, and they did business like fly fishing, and mostly people like here. And at some point they wanted to change add something to spice up the activities, but they didn't know what to do. I said, look, I mean, you're in a perfect location. Just, we went there, we just worked out the strategy, and basically what we did is we suggested people when they're going back from their main activities, like you today, right now, you came here, what are you going to do? Most of them go to the bar, maybe somebody goes to sleep, but here is the thing. So if you add like a speaker here who can tell something people to the stars and have some kind of meaningful conversation, because remember, those people, like from my experience, they're very smart. They are not really like easy to entertain. If you put like a really deep, smart conversation with them and explain things, they are fascinated by this. For example, like this, we are doing like here and see people sitting on the star. This is pretty amazing. So now the second reason is what I'm talking about here is you are creating like a next revenue stream. You can do this kind of activities throughout the year. There is no like a season for astronomy. The only thing you basically need is just clear sky. It can get clear in winter, in summer, in autumn, anytime, even like now, for example, yesterday was clear. So you can do it throughout the year. You don't really need to plan for very specific days in this case. Now, there are some events like meteor showers and eclipses which can be forecasted in advance, and we know in advance, and you can take advantage of this because these types of events, they draw huge crowds. For example, we had just eclipse on the Easter Island. There was tons of people, like Latam had 2 flights a day just to bring people on the island, just to see this kind of phenomenon. And if your hotel don't know anything about this, well, you're going to miss hugely on this opportunity. And of course, the point number 3, it's very interesting opportunity for people to get to know the stars, because most of the people these days, they're living in the big cities, light polluted, they never see stars in their life. And when you offer them something different, just open new window, new experience for them, this is exactly what we're talking about here. It's absolutely unique marketing opportunity for all of them. So there are tons of reasons, again, like 10 more reasons why you should do it. It's more like a business oriented. You can just go through the presentation later. I'm not going to stop here, but I'm telling you, there are lots of options why you probably should be doing this. So it comes basically again, it's a high demand to unique experience. You're creating something which is extremely unique, which will just separate you from your competitors or from the crowd. Again, we will be contributing to the wellness here because it's ecotourism and astronomy. It's going hand into hand. It's really amazing opportunity to do it and projected the market growth. The thing is, in the whole world, the light pollution is only going up from year to year, unfortunately. So the demand for seeing stars will only be increasing with time. So this is why, if you think about this now, you will just succeed in the future. Now, of course, there are some challenges. I mean, it's not like an easy road in a way. So I will just split. There are a couple of ways here. There are internal challenges and external challenges. So the external challenges is like nature, weather, global environment. This is something which we cannot do anything about this. Okay, we cannot control nature so far. We cannot control weather, and we cannot really control global environment. But there are internal challenges. For example, if you decided to do it, so of course we need to talk about infrastructure, the logistics, and some guides which are involved in this process. And here, I will just give you some kind of useful advice how to start with. Because some people ask, how can I start? Do I need to buy a telescope? Do I need to rent a telescope, like a Hubble Space Telescope? No. Start simple, build up. First, step number one, you don't need anything really. You just need some kind of competent person, like a guide, who just literally walk around with this stick or the laser pointer and explain something about the stars, telling people a story. This is very important. You can simply organize, even in your location, if you're like a hotel owner, so organize some kind of trail just to put some kind of marks there, just to bring people under some darkness, all right? Right equipment, again, I'm not talking here about the telescopes. You can start just with a laser pointer and work your way out. So you don't need to invest a lot into this activity. You can start basically from zero. Add some food, drinks, dinner opportunity. So you go somewhere, you bring people, you make like a cocktail, and it's done. People are happy. You cannot imagine how big, just simple cocktail under the stars. People will be just going crazy, and you'll be telling all the friends. Again, the wow factor is just definitely here. The photography, again, photography is very important in this business. I will just tell you in the next slide, and the guide. Like two last points, these are very important to start with. So let's start with the photography. So in order to attract your crowd, remember I mentioned to you, if on your website there is a picture of your property under the stars, typically, and we did some study about this, if people see like a similar hotels, one hotel has pictures of under the stars and the other doesn't, most of the people subconsciously, for some, I don't know why, they select a hotel which has the stars. Because people think, they're not astronomers. They just simply say, I want to go there. I want to take this opportunity to look at the stars, maybe take some pictures. So this is why it's super important. And my warning here, forget about artificial intelligence like a ChatGPT image, it doesn't work. People are not stupid. So in order to do this kind of picture, you better kind of invest a little bit, just hire a guy who knows what to do, and take really good pictures. Not so many, just a couple of pictures will solve the problem for you here. But this is a very important step. Make sure your business is represented with some kind of images like this. It will help you a lot. The second point, which is very, very important, is the guide. I cannot emphasize enough how important it is to find the right person. Because, for example, typical case, when you go to San Pedro de Atacama, these days, when you walk in San Pedro de Atacama in Chile, every single agency has a telescope and offers astronomical tours. But if you take most of those tours, you will be hugely disappointed because people simply don't have any knowledge about astronomy. They talk in some kind of fluff, and sometimes it's totally wrong. So you really have to be really very careful who you select as a guide, but the right guide can make or break things. This is very important. If you select the right guide who is a professional, who is engaging, and he should be a very good storyteller. Because it's not only about astronomy, you have to just be extremely passionate about what you're talking about and tell people some interesting stuff. This is how people easy to remember this, and then they'll be telling their friends, I've heard the story, something like this. So this is how I do it, for example. So a typical story, you say, how can we do it, from where to take a story? Like a few years ago, we went with my guide in the middle of Atacama Desert, and in the middle of the night, we saw some really strange lights just circling around us. It was a crazy story. But it was so surreal experience being in the middle of nowhere. Our satellite phone stopped working. Our car stopped working. It was like a sci-fi movie, but it was real. I'm an astronomer. I don't believe in this stuff. But it happened to us. Now, this guy just created an agency, and now this story is basically a pinnacle of his agency. I mean, he tells the story to everyone, and people just staying in line for him, saying, I want to go to this place to see it. Okay? So I'm not saying you have to invent stories, but I'm saying a good story can attract people as well. And this kind of storyline can spread all over the world. So next time, say, this guy went to the place, they saw this crazy light, I want to go there. And he will bring his friends. Again, you see this kind of networking, how it works in astronomy. All right, so another thing is why astrotourism is really interesting hobby, because it can contribute to connect with the local people. For example, depending where your hotel is, there's also the native population or just simply a local who lives there. These guys, they're deeply connected. Typically, they have long history with astronomy, and because their ancestors, they've been living here, they know about astronomy, they use astronomy in their lives, and they're great storytellers. If you talk to people, they will tell you tons of stories. Like what happened, for example, like the previous with the slides or whatever. You can use those stories for free and tell to your clients, and people will be absolutely fascinated. It's so easy. You don't have to have a PhD in astronomy in order to start telling stories. I can tell you, most of scientists actually are very boring people because they know the subject like a soul. They're laser focused on the science, but they kind of miss this cultural impact, and affection. So anyway, I hardly say like astrotourism is another avenue just to connect with the locals as well, and you will be surprised how beneficial can it be, right? So, and of course now we will talk a little bit about the darkness of the sky. So my question to the whole audience I typically ask, so when was the last time you saw the Milky Way? And here's an example of the Milky Way. I taken this picture in the Death Valley in the United States. So most of the people, they say like, at least half of the audience say sometimes, I've never seen the Milky Way. And this is kind of a problem because they saw tons of pictures, but they don't really understand what we are talking about here. Why? And because the 80% of the modern population, they live in the areas which are so light polluted that you never really see the Milky Way. You see like a single stars here and there, like a planets, very bright objects, but you never see the Milky Way. And you see this is the real image taken like from the satellite combined image, and you see most populated areas, so they are completely light polluted. And unfortunately here as well, here in Chile, so this is the map, for example, of this bright spot on the left side is Santiago de Chile, and you see the whole Chile coming from Santiago all the way down to Temuco, Puerto Montt. It's like a sea of light. I mean, this is the problem. For example, here on the other side, we see Mendoza, Cordoba in Argentina. So lots of population now live in the areas where they cannot see stars. And this is why, again, coming back to the business opportunity, people are looking for stars. Those ones who live in these places, they will be just trying to get out and just do something about it. So in astronomy, we're using like a scale, which goes from the scale to 1 to 9, where we can define the quality of the night sky. Scale 1 depends, like we see like an absolutely perfect sky, and 8, 9 is like a center of Manhattan. So which means our goal is to bring people to the zones like a 4, 3, 2, 1, just trying to isolate them from this light pollution. And for example, sometimes people don't even understand they can see stars from their location. Like it was a famous, I think, a blackout in the US in 2003, I believe, when the lights suddenly went down and people were so surprised to see from suburbs of like a big cities, like a Milky Way, stars and so on. So the stars do exist, we just don't see them because we just unfortunately contribute in a really bad way. Now, the environmental impact of the light pollution, it's not just about like astronomy or seeing the stars. There's a very practical impact on the wildlife. For example, like a small insects, even from insects to big animals like pumas here, they are totally affected by the artificial light pollution. Because the artificial lights, they disrupt their normal cycle of life, normal behavioral pattern as well. And as I told you before, unfortunately, the things are not getting better. Over the time, you see this is the change from the late 50s up to pretty much now. The amount of light pollution is only going up and up and up. And unfortunately, there is no stoppage in the horizon. We don't really see how to stop this because we are developing our economies and so on. So how can you help in your hotel? So, for example, if an owner of the hotel, so what can you do at least to minimize the impact of the light pollution on the nature? So one thing is easy to do is just like in this case, simple shielding of your lights. You put like a special like a cones just to protect and redirect the lights from which is beaming in all directions just to put them down to the ground. This is really the best you can do and it's not expensive at all. The second point is you can change the type of the lights. For instance, the most dangerous and the most the one which we don't like in astronomy is LED lights. LED lights, they shine like a wide, bright light, and it's really disaster for the nature. While if you switch your light to the yellow ones, so-called amber LED technology, like in this case, so you will keep the same amount of illumination, but you change the color and you change the direction of the lights, and it will just make a huge difference. It's a huge difference, and it will be beneficial for you, for your clients, they will still see the stars from this property, and they will feel safe and secure in this location. And of course, we have another factor which contributes to astronomy experience is this, I would say, satellite contamination. In this case, we have a Starlink contamination, because you see we have more and more satellites going up every single day. You see lots of star trails. It looks beautiful. Like when you see the strain of Starlink, for example, it looks absolutely amazing. Unfortunately, when it comes to professional astronomy, this is what we get on our professional, the big telescopes. All our images, crossed out now by the satellite tracks, and sometimes it's very difficult or close to impossible to remove them. So what we do in professional astronomy, of course, we work closely with those companies. Like in this case, we specifically work with the Starlink, and luckily for us, in this case, like Elon Musk, he was listening to us. Now we have like a third or fourth generation of the satellites. Upon our request, they changed the design of their satellites. So the new generation satellites, they have special shields which block the light coming from the reflected light from the satellites. And we have much dimmer satellites which are crossing our south. So which means visually we get much darker sky now. So in the conclusion, I would say again, I would just try to repeat a few points here, that astrotourism is a rapidly growing niche of the market. Okay, so if you're interested to jump in, this is the time to do it. Because again, the light pollution is only going up, it's not going to change. If your hotel offers any possibility of, to look at the stars under the dark sky or semi-dark sky, yes, that's the time. It offers low initial investments. As I said, you don't need to invest millions of dollars into this. You can start with the very simple, basic things. But your return will be very high. Why? Because again, we are talking about the luxury public, the people who want to spend money for the experience. And maybe in the time scale of 100 years, we won't have any place on the earth where you can see stars. And this experience will be very expensive, okay? And of course, talking about keeping night sky dark, it's our priority as a scientist. We're always trying to do this. We're struggling, of course, but we're working with the big businesses trying to minimize the impact. And let's hope we continue working like this. So thank you so much for your attention. That's my Instagram. You can follow my work. And it's gonna fall. Thank you. I'm already losing money on astrotourism. So, and again, if you have any questions about astrotourism, and because I do consultancy again, you can reach out to me. I'm here until Friday. Just stop by, just ask me questions, and I'll be super happy to help you guys. Because again, that's my kind of job and passion. And if more of you will be connected to astronomy, it will make me even more happy. Thank you so much.